And we're back for another Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York stream. I know it's been a few days, sorry about that. Pretty busy and I needed to catch up on some sleep, but here I am. And with that, let's begin. We were at our last rest. You wake up. This is not your haven. It's a cramped space. You try to move your arms and find they are tied to your body. You can barely bend your legs. When you try to stretch your neck, you hit a cold ceiling. You can't quite believe it, but this is a coffin, or something close enough to it. It vibrates slightly, but you can't hear any sounds coming from outside. It's entirely dark. Alright, let's see. Try to break out, call out, or use auspex to sharpen our senses. Let's try it. Focus and divert your blood to boost your senses. You begin to deduce some details. The vibrations mean you're in some kind of transport, maybe a car. You can just hear the suggestion of an engine's hum. The cold interior is metal for sure. More sounds that you try to focus on. A male voice, indistinct. The crackle of a radio. The brakes of the car. An impact. The container jostles about. The car door opens violently. You hear a gun being cocked. A panicked scream. Operation compromised. Engaging blank bodies. A deafening shot rings in your ears. Dazed, you return your senses to their normal levels. The ringing continues. The lid comes off. What the? We found you. Do we have them? Come on, get up. We gotta get going. Seeing their faces is surprising, even more so in these circumstances. However, you realize the immediate danger and follow your companions out of the car and down a street in North Bronx. The van has crashed into another car. A familiar face, that of Kaiser's ghoul, Jackie, stumbles out of the wrecked sedan and slinks away into the darkness before you can call after him. The three of you jog away toward the line of trees and take shelter under some branches, just as you hear a chopper approaching. Its searchlight illuminates the wrecked van and moves toward you. Hide! Now! You see Tamika literally go underground, melting with the earth beneath her feet as if she was being swallowed up. You look to Agathon, who seems to be fiddling with a pocket mirror. He breaks it and suddenly disappears from sight. You're left alone, just seconds to make your move before the spotlight finds you. Hide behind the closest tree, dive under a nearby bush, or use celerity. Celerity. You take off before the light can reach you. In just a single dash, you find a small overgrown mound beneath an old tree. You realize you didn't have to run that far. The searchlight passes through where you were standing just seconds ago, but doesn't actually reach much further into the park. The helicopter flies on, its searchlight frantically moving through the vicinity as your companions once again appear in your proximity. Close call. We have to get out of here before the SI puts boots on the ground. Wait, the SI? Care to tell me what's going on? I might want to ask them what they're doing here. What are you two doing here? Agathon, fill them in while we walk. Follow me. Second Inquisition. They raided your haven, immobilized you, and were planning on taking you upstate to a secure facility for further examination, I'm guessing. Kaiser let me know that you were in trouble. About Sophie, if she's safe. Kaiser organized this. Why? Let the SI know where I live. I would love to know why Kaiser is even involved. Totally. Kaiser organized this whole effort? Why would he do that? Maybe your patron asked him for help? I'm sure she figured out that you're in trouble. Okay, our ride is here. Stay low. The SI might still be around. Kaiser's familiar car stops nearby, and the back door opens. Your allies usher you inside and join you. Being inside this mobile fortress never felt like a relief. Until now. Hey, fledgling. Miss me? Yeah, actually, not really, but I'm glad you're here. Not really, but I'm glad you're here. No, not really, but I will say this. I'm glad you're here. Well, I'm not overly fond of breaking licks out of covert SI transport, so I consider this an investment. That was a civilian transport. No convoy, nothing. I expected more resistance. What, you wanted more to sharpen those claws of yours on? Don't worry, that might still happen. You might even regret it. Things are afoot, as the adage goes. Anyway, listen up, Lamar. You are here, now, only because I told your buddies that you were neck-deep in shit. That van you were in, a one-way ticket to Hurtville, Pennsylvania. I broke you out as a favor. Now you owe me. Big. How did you know? Why didn't I wake up earlier? How did you know? Why didn't I wake up earlier? Did Sophie ask you for help? Let's see. Let's ask him how he knew. How the hell did you know the SI broke into my haven and took me away? Is that a piss-poor attempt at an insult, fledgling? I've kept eyes on you ever since that little job you did for me in Nolita. You know, in case I needed you for something else. I had to know your comings and goings. I have a good idea of why the SI hate you, Lamar. Not that there aren't tons of good reasons for it. It might have been one of these, for instance. The screens in Kaiser's car flicker, and each of them now shows a short looped clip. It's you, getting into a fight, feeding, using one of your powers. You haven't exactly kept a low profile, fledgling. I get it. You're new to this. You didn't know better. Yada yada yada. The fact is, the SI has tons of this stuff. Security camera footage, YouTube videos posted by onlookers, social media posts from victims, you name it. Like I said though, I don't think any of these did you in. Slip-ups happen. The reason I need you walking and talking, Lamar, is to test a hypothesis of mine. For that, I need you to finish what you were tasked to do. So first things first. Here. He hands you a phone. The number has already been dialed. You hear the tone. Somebody picks up. Who is this? Oh, it's Sophie. We should probably let her know it's us. It's me, Sophie. Lamar, are you okay? They're fine and dandy. Kaiser, what are you doing on this line? What do you think? It's my phone your protege is using, so keep it snappy. Operating on a secure network ain't cheap. Come on, Lamar, spit it out. Kaiser saved me from the SI. Listen, I got captured by the Second Inquisition, but I'm fine now. SI? That's what I feared. Listen, the plan. We need to do it. Tonight. But if the Inquisition is involved and you broke out, they'll be looking for you. So we can't meet in public. I have a place in mind, but... Kaiser, are you still listening? Would I tell you if I wasn't? Lamar, call this number from... where you visited before last we spoke. I'll come pick you up. She hangs up. And that's that. What is it that you've gotten yourself into? I'm more interested in what our next move is. Your next move is keeping your asses seated in this luxury vehicle while our mutual acquaintance continues with their night. If my intel is worth a damn, your next stop, Lamar, is right about here. The car comes to a stop and the door opens. Outside, you see the street leading to Solids and Stripes, Torque's pool pub. Well, you need me to kick you out? What about Tamika and Agathon? What about them? They're staying right where they are, and we're gonna have a little chat. After we're done, I'm sure they'll find their way back to their havens just fine. The clock is ticking. I think I know what Sophie wants to do tonight, and if I'm right, tonight's the last chance you've got. If you want to say bye to your buddies before you go, that's fine by me, but that schedule of yours is pretty hectic, so you better do it now and scram. Thank your companions for the help, say your goodbyes, give a polite nod, it's just business. Thank them. You should thank them. You thank both of your companions for their assistance. Without them, you wouldn't be here now. Kaiser makes a gagging gesture and urges you to step out of the car. You turn around and make your way to the bar. The door closes behind you, and Kaiser's limo starts moving again. You hope your companions won't have to pay too high of a price for helping you. The Solids and Stripes is pretty much abandoned tonight, with only the bartender and one bleary-eyed local watching an old Bogart movie on the bar's screen. You ask to use the phone and call Sophie first. Yes? I'm at the bar. Good. We'll be there in 15 minutes. If Torque's not there, notify him. We need to move, and fast. She hangs up. You tell the bartender to notify Torque, just like the Anarch leader mentioned you should. The man makes a short call. You only hear somebody picking up, but no words exchanged. The owner's on his way right now. Can I get you anything while you're waiting? No, thanks. The bartender nods politely and gets back to his business. Torque comes in some 10 minutes later, without Mia. He tips his hat to you, puts a hand on the bleary-eyed patron's shoulder, and says something to him under his breath. They both laugh. Marty, how's the night going? Quiet, sir. Just how you like it, huh? Well, Lamar, I believe you wanted me here for a reason. Let's hear it. You're about to tell him what brought you here when the doors to the bar open and Sophie walks in, all splendor and charisma. The patron's eyes are now glued to her, and so are the bartender's. Torque isn't happy with the sight. Well, this isn't what we agreed on, Lamar. Care to explain? Torque meets Sophie, Sophie meets Torque. We had to improvise. Things got complicated. We had to improvise. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I believe Lamar already told you why I'm here. Not in any detail. The circumstances of our meeting were supposed to be different. So, Miss Langley, tell me why I shouldn't ask you to leave and kick out your protege while I'm at it. You will like what I have to say. Yeah, I've heard that line 100 times, but 99 of those ended with somebody getting hurt. And that's not something I'm in the mood for tonight. We are wasting time. There is a unique opportunity we should take advantage of, and we only have an hour or so to discuss it before it will be time to act. My driver is waiting outside. Wait a goddamn minute. First of all, I'm not going anywhere without Mia. That was the deal. Second, it's Lamar who was supposed to do the driving, not your servant. Both serve me, so really it's a little difference. The circumstances changed and we had to adapt. Don't be stubborn. Foolishness does not suit you. I have a secure spot in mind where we can talk. I'll stop you right there. Torque is seething, but he's keeping a lid on his anger. His voice barely changes. My conditions were clear. The way I hear it, you want to break each one of them. I see no reason at all to agree to any of this. I believe I will be staying put tonight. You have places to be, yes? Torque, you're throwing away the only chance you have at challenging Callahan. Don't be a fool. The lid comes off. Call me a fool one more time, woman, and that's not the only thing I'm going to be throwing. Sophie, Torque's right. Torque, listen to me. Oh, Lord. Oh, boy. Okay, this one's obviously a test of loyalty. So I can either be loyal to Sophie or loyal to Torque. Well, actually, no. I take it back. I think either one of these... I can either be neutral or I can be loyal to one of them. Let's tell her he's right. Sophie, Torque's right. This does sound like a setup. I wouldn't trust you either in this situation. You dare. She slaps you, fast, hard. The sound reverberates in the mostly empty bar. Torque smiles. See, Lamar? That's the cam in a nutshell. You obey them to the letter, or they put you in your place. It's Sophie who's seething now. I don't have any more time for this charade. Fine, stay here, both of you, if that's what you want to do. What was I thinking, risking my reputation for you, Lamar? Shots break the front windows, and a flashbang goes off in the room, changing the bar into a space of white light and ringing noise. You feel somebody tugging at your back, and are thrown behind the bar. More shots ring out, bottles break, the TV shatters into pieces. The wooden bar splinters. Your sight comes back, but you think you've gone deaf, because suddenly the room is silent. You see Torque beside you, and Marty, the bartender, bleeding out on the floor. You look over the bar. Sophie is standing there, her dress partially tattered, a visible hole in her leg. She is like the heart of a supernova, entrancing, unavoidable, beautiful, and terrifying. In front of her are 8 operatives, looking like a private military force, just standing there, paralyzed by Sophie's magnificence. Torque, you still there? Yeah. Would you kindly show your guests some hospitality? Sure thing. The Anarch is gone in the blink of an eye, and he reappears next to one of the soldiers. The armor-clad operative's head disappears in a puff of blood and bone. The same thing happens to the second, the third. You hear the radios go off on the other The same thing happens to the second, the third. You hear the radios go off on the other soldiers' shoulders, a panicked voice pleading them to wake up. The fourth head pops, the fifth. They finally realize what's happening, but it's too late. The sixth man is beheaded by what you now see is just Torque's bare-fisted punch. Torque stops by the seventh man, rips something off his neck, and bites down. Sophie walks over to the last man and has him kneel in front of her before biting as well. On your right, a man in full body armor emerges from the back door, raising his assault rifle. What the fuck? I think we should use celerity and disarm him here. Yeah, let's go ahead and disarm him. With a rush of speed, you take hold of the soldier's gun. He's too surprised to hold on to it. You turn it on him and shout the first thing that comes to your mind. On the ground, now! A combat knife crashes through the soldier's visor and into his skull. You turn around. Torque is grinning. He mouths something under his breath. You can hear the exact words. Still got it. Langley. Sophie wipes her mouth of blood and looks at him. That meeting still an item? Yes. I'll take it. Splendid. Torque walks behind the bar and checks on the bartender. You see the Anarch open his own wrist and feed blood to the wounded man. Drink up, Marty. It'll make you feel better. Get the hell out of here and wait for Mia. She's coming. and she'll know what to do.
Torque?
Yeah, coming. Take the back door. Lamar, come on. You slink back into an alley behind the bar, leaving 10 bodies and one grievously wounded ghoul behind. Nobody stops you from circling around the block and finding your way to Sophie's car. Gregory drives away casually, as if this was just another late-night drive and not the crowning of a desperate, complicated evening. The sense of irony is just overwhelming. The place where Sophie brought Torque turns out to be the very same apartment in which you were embraced. The way she explains it, the vampire who owned it left the city a few years ago and gave away spare keys to a few trusted compatriots. It's been used sporadically since. Fancy.
You like it? It always felt too modern for my tastes, but what's important is that it's secure.
As long as nobody followed your car here, or the fledgling. Trouble follows this one wherever they go.
Even if that's the case, we have very little time to conduct our business here anyway, and we'll be leaving soon, I hope. So, let's begin.
Finally. This better be worth all the trouble. Stay silent. Let's just stay silent. I don't think it's worth saying anything. You look at Sophie, excited. Finally, you will learn what it is that you've been working towards for more than a week, and what it is that Kaiser wanted you to participate in.
I have it on good authority that Boss Callahan is bloodbound to Prince Panhard.
Torque sucks air in loudly. That's an accusation and a half there, Langley. Got proof?
No, but we're just a boat ride away from getting it.
What is that supposed to mean?
Lamar, the address that I procured from Kaiser was the meeting spot for Panhard's and the Baron's regular sharing of blood, and other bodily fluids, if the rumors are true.
Wait, Kaiser knew about this?
Is there anything that insufferable clump of dead skin doesn't know in this city? He knows things, but only shares them if you pay. Neither the Prince nor Callahan can touch him. He's too useful.
So Kaiser knows you want the address. Are you afraid Kaiser will betray you? Kaiser said something about having plans for me, that he wanted me to make this meeting happen. That can't be good, right?
That is an interesting point. I think Kaiser might be as interested in shaking up the status quo as we are. A chaotic landscape makes for a great market for him, unlike a static one.
I don't like playing into that creep's hands, but at least now I know that I'm doing it. The devil you know and all that. What was the address he gave you?
They meet regularly on Ellis Island. In fact, their next scheduled meeting starts in just around half an hour.
Hot damn, I'm guessing you want to crash on that meeting. Why?
So you can see the proof for yourself, so that I can make sure too, and so that I have an extra pair of eyes for Panhard to consider when I present to her my ultimatum. The Prince must abandon her seat and leave New York City. She can go wherever she pleases, but if she stays, the entire court will know, and the next prince might not look favorably on her past. Dealing with anarchs, especially so closely, is a punishable offense in the Camarilla, as I'm sure you've heard.
So I did. Torque strokes his beard and looks intently at Sophie. What exactly are you trying to accomplish here? Say you remove Panhard, and I even remove Callahan. Then what?
Torque, did you ever wonder why Callahan is keeping you in check? Because I wondered why the Prince condemns anarchs during her visits to Elysium, but doesn't allow the Ivory Tower to challenge you. Or they have engineered the status quo not for the good of their sex, but for private gain. They keep us all in line because it lets them hold on to power that much longer.
And your goal is what? Make this Cold War turn hot? Not a great plan.
You cammies will get your butts kicked out of NYC in no time. If you anarchs manage to organize, which I doubt you will. At any rate, it's a risk I am willing to take. I don't stand alone in this. The entire operation has been years in the making. Torque, I am offering you a chance to square things with Callahan and level the playing field. If we get rid of these two, we can start on equal footing at the next stage of this dance macabre. Okay, why am I here listening to this? How do I factor into this plan? Aren't you copying the same status quo? Do I factor into this plan at all? Yes, we will be taking you with us to Ellis Island, both as another set of eyes to witness the Prince and Baron in the act, and as a bit of added security. I don't think Helene or Callahan would dare to lay a finger on me, but they will not find me unprepared. You know, after all those years spent in Callahan's shadow and taking part in all the kindred dick-measuring contests, I should expect a ruse, some ploy to kill me in an out-of-the-way place. That's our inherent paranoia talking. My gut tells me it's time to get this show started. I do hope you have a boat nearby, Langley. Sophie smiles mischievously. Of course I do. It's waiting for us by the pier. Lead the way. Moonlight's burning. The three of you leave the apartment and walk toward the pier. Nobody seems to be following you. You get on a small patrol boat and double time it through the Hudson's cold, dark waters. Out of all the places in NYC where the Prince and the Baron could meet, and it's Ellis Island. A landmark with a dark past. A museum on one hand, a dilapidated piece of history on the other. You leave the boat and make your way to the southern part of the island, paying no heed to the renovated tourist attractions on the northern side. You expected some resistance, a night guard, a helicopter flying overhead, or maybe an NYPD patrol boat. Nothing. The island seems completely deserted. It's clear this sets Sophie on edge. She's moving as quietly and steadily as ever. You can see that she's eager to reach the particular house her intel pointed out. Torque is following suit, grimly determined, flashing his piercing gaze all over, still clearly uncertain that this isn't some kind of con. Finally, you see it, light coming from a window in one of the buildings at the edge of the island. The three of you slowly creep closer to the building and take a look inside the window. There it is, Callahan kneeling in front of the Prince, sucking on Panhard's wrist, both fully clothed. A small blessing. Torque makes his move, and before Sophie can stop him, he busts through the building's doors. It all happens very quickly. Torque grabs Callahan by the shoulders and throws him through the still open door. Callahan hits the ground, hard. Torque appears on top of him and starts punching. You fucker! You piece of shit! Stop! The Prince's voice takes hold for just long enough to make Torque relent, which the Baron uses to the fullest. He shoves Torque off of him and tries to bite down. Prince, call off your lapdog. Langley, what is the meaning of this? The two anarchs break apart, both wounded, but neither is quite done yet. They look at one another with pure hatred. Kill the bitch, Helene, but leave the fledgling to me. Right after I deal with this shit stain, I'm gonna... A shrill, unpleasant laugh fills the air. You know who it belongs to. So entertaining. Truly. He feels almost ashamed to break up this spectacle, but alas... Thomas? Who the fuck is this joker? Yes, I don't think we met, though I did hear a lot about you, Mr. Torque. My name is Thomas Arturo, and Callahan uses this moment of uncertainty to strike. He's still too slow for Torque, who throws the boss onto the lawn where the two exchange blows once again. Ahem. Helene, if you'd be so kind as to ask your friend to not hurt our guest too much. Callahan, don't kill him. This time, Callahan comes out on top and grabs Torque in an iron hold. Your companion struggles, but he can't quite break away. I will not be denied, Helene. Not this time. You will do as I command. And she will do as I command her, Douglas, old boy. What? Like I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. I feel like I need to break up this little spectacle. It's been going on for much too long. You think you're so smart, Langley. You and your clique. You figured out that there was something fishy going on all on your own. But you were always working with just a piece of the puzzle. Wasn't she, Lamar? Sophie looks to you, shocked and disappointed. I don't know what he's talking about. What are you talking about? This is not happening. I don't know what he's talking about. I honestly don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Of course you don't. Of course. How could you? Only I knew. And your sire. They're the one who agreed to embrace you after some negotiations. You hear a scream and a curse. It's Callahan, whose arm has been nearly ripped off his body. Torque breaks out of the Baron's grasp and doesn't continue the attack. Instead, he's at the edge of the water in the blink of an eye and disappears into the Hudson. The only trace left of him is his fedora. Another actor going off script at the very end, eh? No matter. Let him bring us some amusement now that the production is almost wrapped up. He'll reach his allies. He'll tell everyone of this. Helene, even if we naively assume his nights aren't numbered now that he's in the SI's sights, the show must go on one way or another. Won't hurt to encourage leaks and speculation. Sophie looks at you. How could you, Lamar? I saved you. Arturo suddenly appears next to her and slaps her in the face. Langley, Langley, oh Langley. What happened to your self-esteem? You can't really think a simple neonate has outplayed you. Or maybe this oblivious act is your way of groveling for mercy. Thomas, what? You thought that being an expert chess player would always be enough. You never realize the people at the top simply flip the chessboard over and punch you in the face whenever they don't like how the game is going. He motions to the remaining kindred. But the thing is, you weren't even adept at playing the game you knew. Lamar? Just another pawn, placed on the board by my associate. You thought they were your piece since you took them in, but who gave you that idea? You return to the night where you were judged by Prince Panhard, the woman in red, Sophie, somebody speaking to her, a man in glasses, the man standing before you now. This is cruel. You know what's going to happen. If only somebody would speak up for the poor Childe, they could be a useful tool for the Camarilla. Terror creeps onto Sophie's face. Of course, those are not the words you heard, were they? No, you were already grasping for some opportunity to further your scheme. I put the bait out, and you took it. Hook, line, and sinker. After that, it was only a matter of time before you started using Lamar as your errand boy. No one is quite as easy to track and monitor as a naive fledgling who's just learning the ropes. What is it that you want, Thomas? What do I want? Oh boy, the answer is so simple, but so hard to put into words. Unstable stability. Cutting-edge tales of thrills and intrigue that push you to the limit, and then return you to the tried and tested status quo, gently, infallibly. A system full of distractingly moving parts which simulate conflicts so convincingly that its users never feel a need to direct their energy upward to upsetting the system. Their energy toward upsetting the system, Achieving the eternal through the disposable. Building a city that's like a ship of Theseus, constantly changing its parts, yet always maintaining the same purpose, serving the same goal at all times. A large-scale infrastructure that has something like an exhaust system for the spirit. Something that disperses the toxicity around instead of concentrating it in a single place. None of what you're saying makes the slightest bit of sense. Arturo was momentarily stopped in his tracks. He stares into the sky for a few seconds before a sad grin appears on his face. Smoking like someone who's never really had what it takes to be the theatrical snapping fingers makes his last sentence a sense of finality. Something has changed in the air. A woman's shape slinks behind Sophie's back. Goodbye, Sophie. A person appears behind Sophie. You can't believe your eyes. It's Annalise Davis. The woman garden shears in her hands. Oh, goodness. Poor Sophie. Whoa, celerity would be sacrificing herself for her. No, I don't necessarily know if I want to sacrifice myself for her. I'll warn her, though. Sophie, behind you! You hear the shears snip. Sophie's red hair conceals her face as her head falls, separated from her shoulders. Silence. Arturo's unpleasant laughter erupts right next to you. Oh, Lamar, your career is moving at a breakneck pace, moving up and up and up. Let me congratulate you on your promotion. You killed her. What do you want from me? Are you going to kill me too? I suppose I should express alarm. You killed her! Did I? Adelaide, jealous as ever, has taken a stab at the heart of the matter. My hands, my tongue, and my conscience are clean. Helene, feel free to leave us and take the Baron with you. Thomas, I don't think you should... Shush! You're just being jealous. Adelaide, escort the prince and dear old Douglas, please. Sure thing, darling. You are left alone next to Sophie's body. You try not to look, but it's hard to ignore her lithe frame decomposing in front of your eyes. Congratulations, you've won this little game. You set out on a suicide mission and successfully brought down the power-hungry wannabe tyrant, even if it probably wasn't the way you imagined it. Now you're free to enjoy paradise again, life after death, immortality, eternal youth. What they don't tell you is, of course, living in paradise is inherently sinful when not everyone can partake, but you have time to learn how to live with sin, don't you? He takes a melancholic look at the city skyline surrounding him, the Statue of Liberty and the lights of Manhattan shimmering in the distance. You know, New York taught me to believe in fate. My unlife began right here, and it began with utter despair. My first instinct was to drown myself in books and keep reading and reading until literature gave me the piece of wisdom I needed to go on. Personally, I find reading a silly hobby in retrospect. I always had this minuscule hope that the next sentence I'd read could finally bring me salvation, but it never did. It only gave me fuel for this elevated, righteous, intellectual suffering. But the more I read, but the more I read, the easier it was for me to boil every paragraph down to a power relationship, the characters' influence over each other, the writer trying to impress the reader, etc. The strings everyone pulls started to look like strands that weave into the fabric of fate, and once I saw its beauty, I got teary-eyed. My architect instincts kicked into overdrive. I didn't have to submit to fate. All I had to do was cooperate with it and wait for my time to shine, give it my input whenever needed until it trusted me to do more. Thomas steps over what's left of Sophie, wiping his glasses with an elegant cloth from his pocket. And it did. Fate let me look after this city. With my architect's tools, I started quietly shaping the streets and corridors, while Kaiser and his ilk shaped the information flow. And among many tools this process gave me, one of them was a way to reliably come up with useful agents like you. The methods I used were crude at times, but the route was there. All you had to do was follow it. Some people write rulebook passages, the others plan city arteries. In the end, the effect is the same. Someone always follows. He puts on the glasses and gives you a long, hard look. You know, I have grown fond of you. You did so well. Even when that idiot Callahan tipped the Inquisition off, you still got out. I like that kind of resourcefulness. I could use that kind of resourcefulness. He uncovers his wrist. So, take my blood. Just enough so we can start off on the right foot as a sign of good faith. A sign that you're ready to play in the big leagues, ready to behold the sights I prepared for you. What do you say, Lamar? Oh! Well, it would seem, you guys, that we completed Lamar's playthrough. Wow! It took a few sessions, but we did it. But that is not going to be the end of our Vampire Masquerade game streams. Oh no! We have one more playable character, and the next time we stream, we will begin with that character. The stream's a little shorter than I would normally do, but I figure this is a decent stop and finish the Lamar story. So, that being said, thank you guys for watching.